So, the CB125F had an indicator issue. So the customer has done the right checks, the fuses and the bulbs checked out okay. Unfortunately, put the bulbs back in and pressed onto the earth pin and caused it to bend into the power. So the was never going to work again. So obviously brought it to us, to me, for the service and check the indicators. He's explained that he's done the correct things. I will guide him through how to correctly fit the bulbs for next time, because we all learn by our mistakes. It's you do something wrong once, if you get educated and you can do it right the next time, then everybody's happy. But yeah, so it made the diagnostic a bit more sort of complex than what it should have been. But I straightened the pins out and the bulbs, well, the rear worked, the front didn't. So a bit more diagnostic work, and we found it was a dry connection from the bikes, not really used very much, and the modern bikes tend to suffer more with this than the older stuff, bizarrely. They tend to have sort of, we call it a dry joint, it's just a loose connection, or it's not, the voltage isn't flowing through the connector block correctly. So a little disconnect that. I used the Bulldog spray to sort of lubricate it up. I've connected the connector back together and made sure that it's very secure. It'll be all tie wrapped up into the loom like it should be, so there should be no movement, so it should be good to go. So pretty straightforward stuff, just not always it's not always as straightforward as it should be.
Good morning. Right, hello and welcome to Doncaster Motorcycles. First job of the day is a Honda CB125F. It's in for a service, but it's also got an indicator issue. So I did a bit of a diagnostic, checking the power. So we've got a telltale on the clocks is working. And I had voltage to the switch and everything okay. So, but both of the left-hand side indicators do not work. Oh, so bizarre when them things happen. And then, so obviously I'm checking the power, making sure all the earth's all good first. Checking, then you go to, I went to check the bulb. And can you tell me the issue? It's quite obvious there. You see the little pin that should run up the side of the bulb holder as the earth, and the bottom should be the power. The fact that that's a constant loop, which means it's not going to get no power at all to the indicators themselves. Oh, zoom in, zoom out, sorry about that. Right, okay, so now you got a little insight. So if you're checking your bulbs or changing your bulbs on your motorcycle, make sure you take care to not bend or distort the pins for this exact sort of scenario. Now the pin's been straightened and the bulb's back in. Huzzah! We have light! So I'm wondering if this front one is the same. Let's have a butcher's. So I've took the lens off, bulb out, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is exactly the same as the rear. The reason I didn't go straight to check the indicator bulbs is because the owner assured me he'd swapped them, which, yeah, as I always checked them. But you can see the mistake there. Not a problem. It wasn't to know. So as you can see, it got a bit more in depth. I straightened out the pin in the indicator, which was causing the same problem as the rear, where the voltage wasn't flowing through the bulb, they was just going straight to each other, as you saw in the last video. But then I straightened that pin and it still didn't work. So there was obviously a short somewhere, but it turns out, after doing a bit of some checks and stuff, so obviously it's the orange wire, we found that it is just a dry connector there. So I wiggled around with that connector block, brought it back to life. So a squirt of some wonderful spray in there, and make sure the connector's nice and tight. It should be good to go. So I put a little squirt of the Bulldog spray in there, connected it back up, and we have life. So now the indicator system's working, I can put it all back together and take care of the service.